Thank you, Sandra. Before moving on to the session, I just want to thank Don Bosco School, Father Shibu and Father Verghese, and yes, Anita ma'am, for inviting me as a resource person to share some knowledge regarding statistics in various fields. And I think, as Father Shibu said, the statistics is very much relevant these days. And yes, data is very important. I don't know how many of you might have thought about it, but yes, that is what our world is coming to. For each and everything in every field that we encounter, we have data over there, and we take up the data and we analyze it and we come up with a solution for a problem. So that is what I would like to summarize statistics as. So, and I hope this session will be fruitful to you, kids. And I think in my way, I will make it much more simpler so that you can understand. And from what I have learned from your ma'am, I think most of you have studied something about statistics. I mean, some concepts, some basic concepts on statistics. So now I will be presenting my PPT. And if you have any doubts, just type in the chat box. After this session, we will have, I will answer all your queries. Anita ma'am, can you view my screen?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear. Yeah, we can view.
Okay, okay. Yes. So, see, each day we are exposed to, as Father said, we are exposed to a wide assortment of numerical information. Now, what is this numerical information? It is nothing but data itself, and which often has a very profound impact. As again, I don't know why Father has beautifully explained the application of statistics in weather forecasting, and that's why I'm just quoting it like it has a profound impact on our day-to-day lives. And I don't know how many of you have thought about it also. Again, in India, it is a very, the weather forecasting scenario is a bit, confusing at times for a layman. And the reason for that, I will explain to you as we move further. So, statistics is now regarded as one of the most important tools for taking decisions in the midst of uncertainty. When I say uncertainty, I don't know how many of you will remember probability over here. I hope some of the students might have related it with probability. Okay, so in fact, there is hardly any branch of science today that does not make use of statistics, and that is why in recent years, statistics is said to be the most sought after course. So, and the profession, a statistician, the profession is growing like about 33% by 2026. But in the current scenario, see, this is very important. In the current scenario, we don't have that skilled professionals who knows how to use statistical tools in a proper way, particularly in India. There are researchers over here in India, but most of them, after their research, most of them, they just go away from India to relocate or to some other places. So the works are not coming to India. Okay, we are very good in analytical and problem solving skills, but there are opportunities also, but people are not using it properly. So that I think from the lower level itself, that is from soon after your +2, most of the students I have seen that they just want the BTech or the so-called famous courses and all. They just go back, they just go for BTech in the different areas, but they do not focus on subjects like statistics, even economics. Even I would say that economics is also one of the most most beautiful subjects that you can study. But not many good economists or statisticians are here in India. The reason is, I think one of the reason is because you think that it is not a glamorous job, but once you get inside it, you will know that yes, it is better than some other courses or programs that you are planning to go for. See, I'm not blaming the someone who is interested in engineering and all, but see, just take a look into these subjects as well before taking a decision. Okay, this is for the +2 students, even for the +1 students also, they can think about these kind of programs. So there is a lack of skilled professionals in the field of statistics these days, and there are a lot of job opportunities, and that is why I said that this the job opportunities will increase as long as you have data. You have job opportunities as a statistician in various fields in almost everywhere in our in the world. Okay. So now I'm breaking my, my talk into some parts. Like the first part, I will be just explaining the subject statistics, then statistical methods that we commonly use, then application of statistics in different fields, then career as a statistician. So these are the topics that we are going to, discuss. So actually, statistics is a branch of mathematical science. That is, mathematics, if you assume like mathematics is a mother, statistics is the kid of what? Mathematics. It's like that. So mathematics is full of theories and concepts. Statistics is more of an application subject. Okay. And whenever people think about statistics, now, whenever you read somewhere about statistics, people usually think about charts, bar diagrams, some curved graphs, all these things, flash in your mind. But there is more to it. Now, for that, I am just taking the help of one definition, which was quoted by Croxton and Corden. You can just read the definition. The definition says that statistics may be defined as the collection, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of numerical data. So from the definition itself, you might have got an idea that there are 4 steps in any statistical analysis. There are 4 steps. One is collection, then the presentation, analysis, and interpretation of numerical data. See, here he has that numerical data, but I would also say that numerical data itself, see, in some cases you will get qualitative data also. So that we will come to it later. Now, the first stage of any statistical analysis or data analysis is the data collection. Now, when you see the data collection, some might think that, okay, this is a very easy step. I can go to anyone and I can collect data. No, you have data everywhere. You can get data also, but how to collect the correct data, the most representative data, is a very hard task. If I ask you to collect data of students regarding the height of boys in your school, students will rush and they will gather all the data that they can get regarding the height of boys in your school. But and they will just give it to me, but they won't check that whether it is a representative data. Okay, so that is very crucial. This stage is very crucial, that you have to collect the data which is representative of a certain population. Only then, the final stage, when it comes to the interpretation stage, your data analysis will be reliable. Otherwise, you will get a wrong answer. Okay, so this stage is very important. The second stage is regarding organizing the data. Now, you have data with you. Now, what is the use of data, unorganized data? You cannot, if you have an unorganized data, you cannot analyze the data. You can't go to the third stage. So if you have a set of data, the first thing that you have to do is either you put it in a tabular format. If it is easy for you, you put it in that way. or you try to represent it graphically, so that some students, by viewing the graph itself, or sometimes by viewing the bar charts or whatever format, visually if you represent it, some people can understand, okay, this data is trying to say something to me. So you have to organize the data in such a way that you can dig out informations from these data. Okay, so that is why we are organizing a data. You have to take the information from the organized data. Only then you can, interpret what the data is saying to us. Okay, it's like the data speaks to us, but the problem is that we should learn what the characteristics, how the behavior of the data. Okay, so for that you have to organize a data. Then the purpose of analyzing the data is, as I said earlier, you have to dig out information which is useful for decision making. You might be given a case study and you might be given a data. So you have to organize the data, then analyze the data, and then come to a decision. Okay, so that a client might be telling you, this is my problem, so I want a solution for this. So you should be able to analyze and reach a point where you can help your client. So for analyzing the data, you can use certain statistical tools. Now, I hope you might have studied measures of central tendency. What is measures of central tendency? What all tools have you studied inside that? You might have studied mean, right? Arithmetic mean, median, then different types of averages you might have studied. Again, you have studied measures of dispersion. Then you might have studied correlation, regression. So why did you study all these tools? Have you ever thought about that? Why did I study so many formulas? I have just, by hearted it and just applied it some problems. No, why? What is the purpose? Have you ever thought about that? So all these tools are used for analyzing data. Okay, so these tools help us to, give us information regarding a large set of data. If you have a large set of data, you will be provided with the necessary information if you use these tools properly. Now, the final step is interpretation of the data. Now you have used your measures of central tendency. You might any mean you can take your according to your convenience and according to the nature of your data. You can take what if you are comfortable with arithmetic mean, you can take that. If you are comfortable with the geometric mean, you can take that. And I hope you know where to use geometric mean and arithmetic mean and all. They have their own advantages and disadvantages. Keeping that in mind, you have to select that particular tools. And then finally, you will get an answer. After getting the answer, you should be able to conclude your your problem. Conclude in the sense you have to find a solution for the problem. Okay, so that is conclusion. Now conclusion based on the analysis that we have done in the third step. And for that, it is necessary that you should have high level of skill and experience. The concluding part, again, people will think, okay, this is conclusion. I got my result in the third stage. Now I can conclude. No. You have to read between lines. What is it indicating? So the conclusion part is also very important, and it requires high degree of skill and experience. Now we will move on to some statistical methods. Again, this, I think some of you might have learned it. So take it as a revision, or the students who haven't learned it, you just enjoy the beauty of what statistics. Now, statistics is a subject. As I said earlier, it is a branch of mathematical science. It comes under mathematical science. Okay. Again, the statistics is divided into two branches. One is descriptive statistics and the other one is inferential statistics. So most of you might have learned the descriptive statistics. Now, descriptive statistics in the sense you might have learned, again, the measures of central tendency, dispersion, correlation, regression, then setting up the frequency table, graphical representation of data. All these come under what? Descriptive statistics. Okay, that means if you get a data, you just organize it, you present it, and you summarize. That is called as descriptive statistics. For some case studies, this is enough. This is enough. You can, you can submit your project. It is done. But for some complicated cases, descriptive statistics is alone won't be sufficient. So we have to, we have to take the help of inferential statistics. Now, inferential statistics, in a short sense, it's called as drawing conclusions regarding a population. For example, I don't know how many students are there in the school. Let us assume it as 3,000. And if I ask one of the students, it's the same example, to collect the height of all the students, and I'm asking him to find the average height of the students from 15 to 18 age category. Okay. So, and I have only given him like 4 or 5 hours of time. Is it possible for him to go to each and every student in your school and collect their height? Within 4 hours, again, you have to calculate the average also. Okay. And he have to tell me that, ma'am, this is the average height of 15 to 18 year students from that lot that I have taken. So it is impossible. Like in 4 hours, going to 3,000 students individually, it is not possible. So there you have to take a sample. Again, that sample should be a representative sample of the population that you are considering. So there are so many techniques for selecting a sample. You can't simply go and select 2 students from this class, 2 students from that class. Whoever I know, I will, you come here, you are my friend, I will note down your height. No, that is not possible. Okay, so there are certain methodologies that should be adopted. So I'm not going into depth regarding the methodologies, but there are, I hope you have heard about sampling. If not, there are methodologies in sampling, like simple random sample method, systematic sampling, or you can apply these methodologies and select a sample. Then you calculate the height, and then you say that this is the height of the population also. Again, there are so many procedures inside it. It is not easy as like what I say right now, but it is very interesting. You might think, okay, this will be like 158. Before the example, before you start the experiment, you might think, yeah, 158 centimeters will be the average height. That is your assumption. You are not. You are just assuming it. You haven't calculated it yet. Okay, but after the experiment only you will realize that, oh, it is not 158, it was 156. Even the 2 centimeters is also taken into account. So what about your assumption? It was wrong, right? So inferential statistics is nothing but drawing conclusions about a population based on a data that is observed in a sample. Now, as I said earlier, you cannot go for this kind of methodology every time. In every 10-year census surveys are happening. So in census survey, you cannot opt for this methodology. You have to go to each and every one, collect their information. That is something else. Okay. So generally, we divide statistics into 2 branches, that is descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Then I'm just giving some names, or I hope you are familiar with all these tools. Some of the tools might be new for you. Measures of central tendency and dispersion, of course, you have studied. Probability, again, probability, the concept probability. This is something, I would say the backbone of statistics. So some people don't agree with that. But right now, when you hope you have heard about machine learning, artificial intelligence, and things like that. Now, when you go in depth, you will find that again, probability, the concepts are widely used in, machine learning and artificial intelligence. So probability again is very important. And after that, you will study probability distributions, which you will study in your graduation. If you are taking up statistics, you will definitely study probability distribution, which is very helpful for analyzing data, to know the behavior. Actually, right now, we will think that measures of central tendency and dispersion is enough for us to analyze the behavior of a particular data. No, that is not enough. For the time being, okay. You are dealing with small data set, that is fine. But if you have a big data, what will you do? Okay, for that you have to study the probability distributions, then sampling and sampling distributions, sampling methodologies, different sampling methodologies also you will have to study, estimation and testing, design of experiments. Design of experiments is actually widely used in agriculture. Okay, so but regarding that, we will come to later when I speak about the applications of statistics. So these are some of the techniques and tools that we use in different fields. Statistical quality control, again, regression and correlation. This might be familiar for you. Regression and correlation, and regression is for what? Prediction. Correlation you can use for finding any relationship between the variables, right? Then time series and forecasting. Yeah, so time series is something that the tool that we use for, as father said, in weather forecasting, we will be using more of time series. Okay, so this is a tool that which we use for forecasting the uncertain things. But provided we should use it in a proper manner. So that is why in India, there is a lack of good statisticians. And that is why in India, we are not able to, forecast properly. Now, people graduate, people do post-graduation in statistics, people do, the analytics course, whatever courses they do, they get a job, they sit there. They don't go beyond that. I mean, the researches won't be happening frequently. Everything is like, okay, I will do the research, but I need a benefit out of that. That is the mindset that is going around. So if a person is doing a good research, if you just check the profiles, you can see that if a person is doing good amount of research, it's sure that within 2 years he will flew away from India. Because this is, I'm not exaggerating, this is the actual scenario. Like, if you are interested in research and if you are doing it properly, you have a chance outside India. But in India, to implement it, it is very difficult. Okay, you might be employed as a government official, and to implement things are a bit difficult over here. So things might get changed in course of time. And yes, there are changes happening in the education sector also, and it is very much welcoming. So again, I think you guys will have a bright future in India. So it is necessary that whatever you learn in your in your high school onwards, you should be very keen on the concepts of all these terminologies. Usually, what the learning pattern of students, what I have seen is that they learn regression and correlation. For instance, if I ask you, give me one application of regression and correlation, can anybody tell me? If you can tell me, then I'm very happy to hear from you. Can you tell me a story that has happened in your life, using regression or correlation? So all these tools we use in our day-to-day life, right? Unknowingly, we are using these tools. But the problem is that, we are only focused on the formula. I just want to learn the formula, apply it in a problem. Then what reproduce in the paper, I get marks, finish. That is not the way we have to study. Times have changed. People have changed. Scenarios have changed. You have to study in such a way that, see, these have some underlying, beyond the definitions, there are features for regression and correlation. You have to find it. Okay. It's not about statistics, but any other subject that you like. Please do not, you by heart the definition for getting good marks, fine. But beyond that, you have to put in some effort to find why is it this formula like this? Why is it the definition saying, regression is used for prediction? Why is it happening? Has anyone applied this regression in real life? When I was studying, I had this thought, why I am studying all this formula, and is there any use for regression and correlation in my life? I have thought about it. I think many of the students will think when you learn hardcore these mathematical theorems and statistical formulas and all, you will think about that. But that thinking only happens. You won't, you have the resources to check also. You just search in Google, you will get lot of stories regarding all these tools, statistical tools. So I think that is the one thing that you have to, make practice, irrespective of the subject. I won't say statistics, but all the other subjects also, you have to take a practice of, finding out why is it used over here? Why does the definition state like this? That should come up in your mind. Again, index numbers also, this is also very important. Actually, index numbers are very much used by the government officials for obtaining price index numbers and all, to know the economic fluctuations. Okay, and this is used by the economists also. Then demography and population studies. This is another area where we study about mortality rate, death rate, life expectancy. All these terminologies and studies comes under demography and population studies. So these are only some of the tools and techniques that I have discussed. Now, let's see, if you want to become a statistician, what are the skills that you need? Okay, so the first skill is that you should be, if you are a person who is very much keen on numbers, and if you are good at logical reasoning, and you are good in analytical reasoning also, this statistician is a job for you. So you should have strong foundation in mathematics and statistics. Then, as I said earlier, you should have good logical thinking and ability to comprehend key facts. Then, okay, now these two things, people can acquire it by learning, or by here going for so many classes or courses. You can acquire these first two knowledges. The third one is very important nowadays, the ability to interact with people from various fields. Now, what I just don't understand is that, see, some people, what they do is they take up statistics, or they, for instance, they take up they are graduate in statistics. They go for their MSc statistics. After that, what they do is, uh, most probably they might end up in a government job, or they go for research. Fine, good for them. But see, as a statistician, what you have to do is, see, statistics is an application subject. First of all, that is the thing that you have to understand. It can be applied to various fields. So you should be aware of the fact that, okay, I can apply this in biology. Now you research on that. How will I apply statistical tools in medical field? Okay, there are so many people who come from medical field to a statistician to analyze their data. But the thing is that when they come to us, this is the reality. When they come to us, statistician will tell them the most complicated, the formulas and the concepts that he will use in data analysis and all. And the medical professional, it is not necessary that he knows about statistics, okay, in depth. So the only thing that you have to cater to him is a solution. You don't have to explain the whole lot procedures that have been made or done to analyze these things. So you should be able to communicate to him in his language. In his language means, I'm not emphasizing on English or Malayalam, or not like that. In his language, he is thinking in a medical scenario. So you have to, speak to him in his language, make him understand what the problem is, and give him a solution. It is not necessary that you should have an in-depth knowledge in medical field, but as a statistician, you should, when you are working on data like that, you should be able to know the basic terminologies they are using, and you should be able to understand their problems. Okay, if you have that ability to, to acquire knowledge regarding a new subject which you are not comfortable with or you haven't learned about, then this is a job for you. Okay, so actually this is very interesting. I don't know why people, people are very hesitant to come to statistics. I'm not like boosting up my own subject, but seriously, this is a very, usually when we go for panel meetings and all, we discuss these things. People are very, they don't want to come into this field. That is what we are getting the vibe. Okay. Again, last but not the least, you should have good programming skills also. Okay. So you should have you should have the theoretical knowledge. But with the theoretical knowledge, you can't do anything. You should have some computing background. Programming skills are very much high on demand. Okay, so if you are a statistician, plus if you have the good programming skills, then I can assure you that you will end up in a good job profile, like a data scientist or a data analyst. Okay, again, there are certain software packages and languages that a statistician should learn or should know about. And the first software package is IBM SPSS. SPSS is, this SPSS software package can be used by people who do not have, in-depth knowledge in statistics. If you know certain terminologies and if you know, okay, this is, see, for instance, geometric mean, you need not know the formula, but you should know where to use it. That's enough. So in SPSS, you have so many drop-down list, and if you enter your data and whatever tools you want to utilize, for example, you want to find the geometric mean, just there you will have what descriptive statistics session, and you just give it a click. You will get all the necessary informations from the data just in one click. Okay, so this is actually meant for people who don't have extensive knowledge in statistics. Many of the psychologists and all use IBM SPSS. Then SAS programming language. Now this is again, you should have some kind of, programming skills to use SAS. But if you are comfortable in C, C++, then SAS will be very easy for you. Basically, you should have the logical reasoning and analytical, abilities to solve things. So this will be easy for students who have already learned C and C++. This is like a cakewalk for them. Again, R programming, which is very much popular and in demand in today's, wherever you search data analysis or data scientist job, the job criteria or that eligibility will, there they will demand this. Do you have proficiency in R programming? They will ask you. Again, Python also very important. I think some of you might have been learning Python in ICSE syllabus. I think there is one module or two module, I think so. So these two are very important, R and Python. Okay, even if you don't know SAS or SPSS, it's fine. But R and Python is, a very, if you want to get a job along with your graduation, in some colleges and all, there will be a paper on R and Python. So you need not worry about that. But if there is no papers regarding R and Python, you have to take up extra a course on R and Python. So that will be also very easy for you. Again, if you are okay with C and C++, then this will also be fine. Okay. So these are some of the things that you have to learn. Then application of statistics in various fields. Now, The first field that I would like to emphasize is on actuarial science. Now, this is an area that calculates risk in insurance and financial sector. Basically, it analyzes how much money we should set aside for future. This is only an example. Okay, like if we look at a data of car accidents that is happening in a particular place at a particular time, for say for Ernakulam, I will collect a 10-year data. Based upon that data, I will find a trend, okay, or a pattern that is, and I will use that trend and pattern for prediction for the coming years. And based on that calculation, an actuarial scientist will say that how much money he can give to each person for their, how much each person should pay for their insurance, so that it would cover the damages of a car crash. Now, this is again applicable in the medical insurance field also. So actuarial scientists, what is their purpose? Or they usually reduces the risk in the insurance sector and the finance industries and all. Okay. Then the next field is artificial intelligence. This name will be popping up in, here and there, wherever you search regarding data analysis or data, artificial intelligence will pop up. Now, I won't say it as artificial intelligence. We are not yet there. We are still, in a supervised learning phase where we are just training our machines with our data. That is only happening right now. Okay, now there should reach a point where your machine should start to think like yourself or think like a human. So that stage is not yet happened. I mean, it is nearing to it, but we can't actually say that it has happened already. No. We are just training the data. We are just training that machines. Even the robots also, we are training it by feeding with it with a lot of data into it. For a small example is your smartphone, the smartphone that you are using, or the laptops, or all the devices that you are using, even the conversation that I'm doing right now, even the webinar. All these things are being converted into data. And without your conscious or unknowingly, your system is actually learning these data. And it is creating a pattern inside, a model inside, so as to predict the future. What will be my future action? Okay, for example, I don't know how many of you have encountered with this scenario, like you were searching about some, for instance, automated cars, automatic cars you were searching, and again, after 2-3 days, ads related to automated cars just pop up like that. You open your Facebook, it pop up. You open the YouTube, the video, it might not be connected with the automated car, but it might be a food blogging channel, but you will get the ad regarding the automated cars. Now, how is that possible? It is using your search engine, your search history as a data, and your the device has learned itself, and it is predicting that, it is thinking by itself that, okay, now it is the time to give in front of him the ad of this particular automated car. Now, how is that, the whatever that thing inside your system is thinking like that? How is it? Lot of companies, the car related companies or automated car related companies are buying your data. That is what father said. Data is very expensive now. Data is everywhere, but it is expensive as well. Now you see that these ad pops up. Okay, for instance, a particular brand name called A. So it is sure that A has bought some kind of data from your, from your search engines or whatever it is, from your previous searches. And that is why these things are popping up. So this is a very small example of what, how what is artificial intelligence is also all about. I won't like to say that this is artificial intelligence. It is, we are just nearing to it. And how is our statistical tools helping them? Hope you have learned linear regression. You have variables x and y in linear regression. Most often you don't know what y is. You have so many x1, x2, x3, etc. So many variables. Okay, and one story will be also given before the problem starts. There will be a big story and a table regarding the numbers of x1, x2, etc. And the problem, what is the problem? You will be asked to find out what is y. Okay, so y is the thing that we don't know, but with a linear equation, we will be predicting what y is. That is, if x1 is this, if say for x1 is 6, y will be this. You are predicting that with the help of a linear equation. Okay, that is simply what is called as linear regression. Again, the same logistic regression. KNN classifiers, KNN classifiers and all, you will learn it in a bigger class. So there are different kind of models. Do you remember that I just spoke about the system creating a model in itself? So all these models are being fed to your system so that when necessary data comes, they would put these datas in x1, x2, x3, and they will give you the answer as y. Okay. So that is how artificial intelligence, I won't say that again, machine learning, I would like to say that machine learning, in machine learning, we apply the statistical tools like linear regression, logistic regression, KNN classifiers and all. Okay, so that is about artificial intelligence. Now in medical field, now there is a program called biostatistics in the graduation level itself. Now this is a very interesting field. Those who are very much into biology, I think they should opt for this. This field is a combination of statistics and biology. And for example, if a new drug is being released into market, so you can't just release that a person has found out a new drug. He just can't release it to the market. There should be clinical trials. Okay, so certain clinical trials will be conducted, and the data that we get from these clinical trials will be analyzed using statistical methodologies, and we will be able to conclude whether this drug will be released or not. Okay, so that is a simple example of biostatistics, what statisticians do in medical field. Okay, there are so many other cases also we can, we can easily solve in medical field. So many problems that people can solve in medical field. So that is why I don't know how many of you know that in each medical colleges there is a post for statistician. Okay. Again, in business field also, this is, I think commerce students will know why we use statistics over here. So again, there are, as a business analyst, you can join a company that if they are demanding that. And it is immensely applied, statistics is immensely applied in business. And again, time series is also used over here. Time series, the tool time series is used, and it is used basically to know the fluctuations in seasonal and cyclic variations that can affect your economy. Okay, and it also helps you in tracking the performance of the products that you have launched. Also, you can identify if there is any relationship between variables. Again, correlation can be used over here. If there is any relationship between variables and their effect on each other, like effect of advertisement on sales, etc. Then another one is demography. Again, I have explained this earlier. That is the study of population. Now here, what we do is these data are used for finding, as I said earlier, birth rate, death rate, life expectancy. Again, further, again, information regarding the education system in that particular region, the household data, all these data will be collected in detail. Okay, now here we apply the census survey over here, and these data are mainly used for deploying any government policies to that particular region. For instance, the education system in a particular area is not performing well, and if a data like that is, if we can collect a data like that, if we give to the government with a report, they will take an immediate action. Okay, that was an example. So for demography and how statistical methodologies are applied over there, census survey or sample survey sometimes. Okay, with respect to the case. Then in psychology also you will be using statistics. Actually, students who take up psychology as their paper for program for their graduation will have 4 papers in statistics. 4 papers they will have to study statistics in psychology. Now people will ask why should they study statistics? Psychology is nowhere related to statistics. That is what people think. But yes, we have a relation over there. If you want to know the relationship between the human behavior, or you have to study the traits of human behavior, things like that, you have to if you have to analyze it in a proper way, statistics will help you in analyzing it. Now, here you won't get any numerical data. In the sense, you won't get any quantitative data. All the data that you will get will be qualitative, most of the data. And I was very lucky that last year I was able to associate with a psychologist, and it was a study regarding the perimenopausal stress which is happening to women, and we just divided the whole lot of women into 3 age groups, and we were able to do an analysis on the data that we have got. Only then I understood that okay, that is very much complicated, because we get qualitative data, and then we have to convert it into a quantitative data. Only then we can do certain analysis. If you don't have, there's no need to convert it also. We have statistical tools for, using qualitative data. You can do the analysis. So that is regarding psychology. Then epidemiology, which is very relevant these days. That is the study of a certain type of disease. What are the causes of a pandemic? These words, I hope you know. I don't have to explain it much in detail. And again, how you can control the spread of these diseases. So here we check the performance of these performance of the characteristics of certain viruses. And most commonly what we do is we collect data regarding these viruses. I mean, there will be different factors, so all these data will be collected, and again we will have a look at the number of deaths, the incubation period of the viruses, the number of recoveries. All these factors will be taken into consideration. And for example, in the starting of COVID-19, there was a study regarding the temperature and the spreading of viruses in a particular area. So again, the factors were taken into consideration were temperature, and also the genetical of that particular population. It was considered, and a study was done regarding that, but yeah, it reached nowhere. But again, we can do so many researches. Even now it is happening. So with the help of the result, what happens is an epidemiologist can take policies or action which are to be implemented in that particular area, so that we can control the spreading of the diseases. So for helping the epidemiologist, how can a statistician help? By collecting data, you use a sample survey, most probably sample survey. Then by using your statistical methodologies like statistical inferences. You have so many tests in statistical inferences, hypothesis testing. These can be used. Okay, and again, you can also apply a regression, correlation to know whether there is any relationship between certain factors. So all these can be applied, and you can help an epidemiologist. Then again, in the agricultural field also, what we do is we collect data regarding a particular area, and we check whether this particular area is apt for growing certain variety of crop. So for that, what we do is we take into consideration temperature of that particular area, fertility of that soil. Certain farmers might be giving a certain kind of treatment for that particular soil, the breed of the crops that are used. All these factors will be taken into consideration, and an analysis based upon the data will be done, and you apply certain models to it to know whether you will get good yield if we apply these models, taking into what all factors I have said earlier. So some of the models that we use is randomized block design, Latin square design, which all comes under the design of experiment, and even ANOVA. So finally, we will get a result, and we will be able to communicate that to to the farmer, or to the government agencies who have employed us. So next is operations research, a very interesting area, and this is something again you might have studied, or you will be studying. Now, operations research in your +2 or +1, I think. So you might not have heard about operations research, but you might be familiar with linear programming. Okay, now I just want to say that operations research, it has a beautiful history. That is, in World War II, actually operations research came into existence in the time of World War II. And what happened was that this was operations research, this subject popped up to make some strategies and to defeat the other parties. So a lot of scientists, engineers, statisticians, mathematicians, physicians from all over the world were brought together, and they were made into a team, and they were first formed by the British Armed Forces and later by the American Armed Forces. So basically, to defeat the other party, they were forming the operations research, and there was a secret team. It says that the history is very wonderful. There is, if you search in Google, you will get a wonderful video regarding the history of operations research, which is related with the World War. But what happened was that as soon as the World War ended, people, there were so many technologies that has been using in the with regards to OR in World War II. And George P. Datsing was the person who developed linear programming, and the solution for the problem is called as the simplex method. Of course, you will be studying graphically also how to solve the problem, but he was the one who formulated the simplex method. And what he and the other scientists did was that they brought these technologies into the civilian problems also, to solve the civilian problems. Eventually, this was taken up by some universities, and now it's like all around all around the world, every universities, even in schools, I mean, you are learning linear programming. So these are taught to students, and research on these technologies is actively progressing. So this is a very good area for research. And to India, Professor Verma has set up an OR lab, but the studies, the studies was more taken up by Professor Mahalanobis, and Mahalanobis is none other than the father of Indian statistics. So he has established an OR team in the Indian Statistical Institute of Calcutta to solve all the planning and survey problems which is connected to the economy. So that this is a very this was a major milestone for India also during those years. And these are some of the timeline that I just have given it just for your information. I mean, for your knowledge, you can just read it again. So there are so many field or so many subjects where you apply statistics. This is just a timeline of OR. Okay. OR or operations research. Now, after studying all this, I mean, after saying all this, like I just said that yes, statistics is very much applied to almost all the fields. Whatever you take in that field, you will have statistics. There will be an application of statistics. But how will you get into, if you are interested in statistics, how can you become a statistician? What are the preliminary stages that you have to do? So first is graduation. Graduation in the sense you have to be a graduate in statistics. That is, you have to take BSc, a degree in statistics. And it is not necessary that you have to take BSc in statistics itself. Actually, there are options in a lot of university and colleges that even if you take up MSc also, I mean BSc in mathematics also, you can become a statistician. Okay, so that is one option is that for your graduation, you can take up BSc statistics. The other option is BSc itself, mathematics. Then I would like you to take up, you see, this has its own pros and cons. Now, if you take up BSc statistics, you can go for your post-graduation in MSc statistics only. Okay. And again, there are some MSc courses or post-graduation courses related to data science and all, in which is offered by IIT, and even in some of the colleges in Ernakulam also we have MSc in data analytics and statistics. So students, those who take graduation in BSc statistics can go for these two courses. Again, in a MSc artificial intelligence also you can apply. I think that is now offered by KUSAT in Kerala. You have KUSAT is a very good option. Now, if you take a BSc mathematics, you can go for a post-graduation in statistics. All these three you can go. Again, you can go for MSc statistics also. I mean, that I have said earlier. You can go for MSc in mathematics. Okay, that is one of the extra options that you get if you take BSc in mathematics. Now, all these courses are right now offered by many of our universities in Kerala. All of the universities have these course programs, and even a lot of colleges in Ernakulam also, you have these programs. And here I have to specify one more thing that, see, a lot of students, if they want statistics, they go for only this BSc statistics. Okay, that is what I'm just, that is the trend that I'm seeing right now. But so many students, most of you might have researched also about it. There are courses like triple main courses. Okay, these are interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary courses where you can take your BSc degree in maths, statistics, and computer applications. So what is the use of taking up degree like this? You can either opt for MSc mathematics, you can opt for MSc statistics, MSc in data analytics, MSc in artificial intelligence. You can also go for MCA. So there are options over here. And this is actually really good. If you take a triple main or an interdisciplinary program or a multidisciplinary program, it is very good in future. Nowadays, the jobs are very much like that. It is interlinked. Yesterday I got, there was a placement drive asking for biostatisticians. So their demand was the student should be student should know statistics, biology plus computer science. So there are triple main courses like these also. The problem is you have to search for it. Not only in Kerala, but outside Kerala also you have many programs like these. Now, one of the other day in St. Joseph, Bangalore, they have a program called a degree program in economics, stat, and maths. See the variety. I mean, see how much it is, to take up a subject like this. And these subjects are all interlinked. It is very useful for research and things like that also. If you want a good government job, or if you are aiming for a government job, or if you are planning for to be a good researcher in economics, you can go for this course program. Now, this triple main program, that is BSc Maths, Stat, and Computer Application, is offered in St. Teresa's offers these courses. Then SH Tevara also have this. I think in Alberts also you have this program. And the placements are also very high. See, after graduation also you guys will get placed. If you are planning for, okay, I just want the graduation, then the job, you will get placed. Even at this corona times also, we had a lot of placements, not only from our colleges, but throughout Kerala there were large placement drives, and students were placed in reputed companies, MNCs and all. Again, one of the placement drive was from Wipro, and they were offering a job of 1 year, I think, plus an MTech program of 2 years, and this is free of cost. This is free, and it's from BITS Pilani. So the eligibility criteria is BSc Stat. You can be if you take BSc Statistics also, you can. This is the eligibility criteria for this job. BSc in Mathematics also, you will get this job. If you take the triple main course also, you will get this job. Okay, so there are a lot of job opportunities also even after graduation. Now, if you do the post-graduation in these areas like MSc in Statistics, MSc in Data Analytics, MSc in AI, or Artificial Intelligence and Data Analytics, which is offered by CUSAT, you can become a data scientist, a data analyst, a research officer. Okay, so these are some of the jobs that you will get. Again, after post-graduation, no, I want to study more. You can go for your PhD. A very good idea. And that is also being offered in almost all the universities in Kerala with regards to the subject statistics. Okay, so this is also possible. Then you might have seen something called ISS. Now, what is that? So that I will show you a bit later. So again, after completing your graduation, or after completing your post-graduation in statistics, that is, I think it is good to say that after completing post-graduation in statistics or data analytics, you can become analyst in whatever field you like. In business field, you can become analyst. In medical field, you can become analyst. Whatever field you choose, you can become analyst over there. Then teaching jobs, that's very much in demand. We don't get teachers in statistics. That is very true. If I call for an interview also, we don't get people in the area of statistics. Then data scientist, biostatistician, then research scientist, ISS. ISS is Indian Statistical Service. Okay, I have I will tell you about this later. It is Indian Statistical Service means something equivalent to IAS. Okay, so that I will come to it later. It is a very interesting job. And then actuarial scientist, banker, you can easily get into a bank provided you have to write some test. Okay. Then government jobs, you will have to write PSC and some other tests also regarding I mean notifications regarding that will pop up in papers usually. Now government job means usually government agencies, your designations will be research officer, statistical assistant, investigator, then again ISS. It is, as I said, it is equivalent to IAS, Indian Statistical Service. And your duties will be you will have to develop, analyze, and measure socioeconomic aspects of your country. Then who hires you? What all agencies under government agencies hires you? Ministries. These are some of the agencies I have given. There are a lot others. Ministry of Economic Affairs, Planning Board, National Sample Survey, Labor Bureau, Central Electricity Authority, etc. are some of the agencies. Then healthcare. Healthcare, you will be either taken up as a biostatistician or a biometrician. Then pharmaceutical companies, medical colleges, public health agencies will employ you. Your duties are, one of the duty only I have given, whether to, the clinical trials that has to be done when a drug is released. And again, studies related to epidemiology will also be conducted. Then research and development department in any area, be it biology, physics, chemistry, wherever you go, there will be a research and development area. So, or a department like that will be there. So there your designation will be that of research officer, scientist, product evaluator and all. And these are just some of the sectors I have only given. There are more sectors again. So that is it. Then these are some of the companies that will hire you. In Reserve Bank of India, that you have to note, so many students don't know that in Bank of India, actually there is a post of research officer, but provided the student should have a post-graduation in statistics. And only statisticians will be hired as a research for that particular post in Reserve Bank of India. So there are a lot of opportunities in different field, even in sports also. Now there is an area called sports statistics. So that is very interesting. Those who are interested in cricket and football, if you please search about that, you will get a research area on it, and it is very interesting for students who are interested in sports. So these are some of the organizations who will hire you. Again, regarding the ISS that I told you earlier, it is a very good, I would say it is a very glamorous job like IAS, Indian Statistical Service exam. And you see what is the eligibility? It is only BSc Statistics. So soon after completing BSc Statistics, you can go and write this examination. Now the examination pattern, you will have 6 papers for that. Then after clearing all the papers, you will have a personal interview, and after that you will have a training. And the training, I have heard it is most probably it will be in the north itself, and it would be the best days of your life. I mean, it's a bit tough, the training, but it is worth. And then you will see, it is, as I said, it is equivalent to IAS. So what you just imagine what your position will be after completing this exam, after exam. And if you are passing this exam, just imagine what is the position that you will get. Okay, so that is about ISS. Again, this is about the RBI, as I said, Reserve Bank of India. There is one post that is of the research officer. And here also you will have to write certain examination. And after writing the examination, if you clear these examination, I have given the examination pattern and all over here. you will be selected as a research officer in Reserve Bank of India. This is also one of the highly paid jobs. And yeah. And again, if you don't want to be a government employee, you want to be a data analyst or data scientist, the salary that you get is very high, when compared to BTech graduates. I'm not exaggerating this. You just consult with some of your cousins and some of the people who have gone through this. I'm not exaggerating. This is the scenario because we do not have skilled professionals. As I said in the beginning, we do not have good statisticians. Again, if you don't want your government job, if you don't want to work in private sector, don't want to become a data analyst, yes, you have a job in the teaching field. That is, you can become an assistant professor, and after that you can become a professor. So to become an assistant professor, you have to first clear the national eligibility test, and then you will get jobs in different universities. And if you're clearing it with the GRF, you will have a chance for doing your PhD from reputed universities, and you will get stipend for doing your PhD. Okay, you need not pay anything to them. You will get stipend, and that is tax free. Okay. So and after taking up the PhD, and if you have net, I think you can get jobs in different universities. If you don't want to work in university, you go for some colleges also. If they have vacancy, they will hire you. It is also a highly paid job, and the satisfaction level is also great. Okay, it is not because I'm being a teacher, but yeah, so it is a calling. I would say that rather than money or the monetary terms and all, teaching profession is a calling. So those who are only interested, please come to this. Otherwise, don't come to it. You go for your data analyst or what other government jobs, or that glamorous jobs and all. You can go for that. It is fine. Okay. Now, I have given some books for reading. This is just a start. If you want to know statistics in depth, Fundamentals of Mathematical Statistics, which is by S.C. Gupta and V.K. Kapoor. This is a very good book. Those who are planning to move forward with statistics, please refer this book. Again, Statistical Methods by S.B. Gupta. This is a very simple book. Okay. I think the fundamental of mathematical statistics is much more advanced. This one will be fine for you as of now. Then these are all advanced books. But again, if you are interested, you can go through this. Then epidemiology, if those who are interested in epidemiology and biostatistics, you can go through this book. And again, artificial intelligence, which is written by Stuart J. Russell. This, I would say, this is as a Bible for artificial intelligence. The basic, if you are interested in artificial intelligence or machine learning, start reading this book. Then fundamentals of classical statistical thermodynamics, something connected with thermodynamics, statistics connected with physics. So go through this. And yes, our operations research. So these are some of the books I would like to share with you. And again, there is one more field that I have left, and that is regarding astrostatistics. Now, that is my field. Right now, I'm doing small researches. I'm not that expert in that field, but I've just started my research works in it. And astronomy plus statistics. So it is very interesting. And in India, it is very less. The research on astrostatistics is very less now. And all the researches are happening outside India. Most of the researches. The funding is the main problem for these kind of researches. Most probably, hopefully, we will have a futuristic, way to solve this problem, the funding problem in astrostatistics in India. So again, Anita ma'am, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Actually, I had some more slides regarding graphical method, but it is 4:30 already, and I think I will need another 45 minutes to explain all those things. It's
Okay.
actually a problem. I will send my. I think it's better to send my slides to you.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
so that
Okay,
the
thank you.
students can learn that problem. That problem was regarding operations research. I have shown, I have given a problem.
Okay.
So first I have given some steps regarding the extreme point approach. Then I just go through it. I know it's not right to go through it also. Now, this is a question. So
Okay.
will have to solve this question. But this is very interesting. I think I have seen a similar kind of question in the syllabus also. So that's why I took this question. And they have to solve this graphically. I think, ma'am, you can give this task for them as an assignment. Let them do it.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, sure.
Okay, ma'am. If they have any doubts regarding it, they can call me. It's no issues. I will be there to help all of you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
okay, ma'am. So I think I have taken a lot of time, like half an hour has exceeded, I think. And I'm really sorry for not keeping the time.
That's okay, ma'am. It's okay, no problem.
I just, if you get the mic, you just keep on going, explaining everything. That is a problem with me.
It's okay, ma'am. No
So,
worries. Okay, then, Sandra,
yes.